Pepper for your steak. Hi. Hi. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Maverick Matthews, and you are listening to Pepper for Your Steak. I am on the road in the SS Kransbergatania, and don't take this too seriously. What do you care what I think? Just some guy. This is just a little pepper for your steak. Where's that opening clip at? Where's that opening clip, huh? Where is it? Let's find it. Here it is.
Saying that such behavior on the part of
The power of his genius supplied the deficiencies of the imperfect communications of the Hierophants, and he himself became a master and a revealer.
We thought we had something different here, you see. We live in both a very fragile and precious experiment in democracy, and we live in an empire that is experiencing profound decline.
Reptilian agenda. Okay, let's talk about the reptilians. So you're saying the reptilians are luring humans to like Hawaii to vacation spots?
The news is there to scare white people. I've said this for years.
To live this life, you can't live the life everyone else lives. You're not going to be partying on the weekends. You're going to be performing on the weekends. You're not going to be watching the big game on a Thursday night because you'll be in a club. You have to have that mindset that you don't belong. You don't go to the rhythm of the rest of the world.
Pepper for your steak. Pow! Hold. Hold for cars. Hold for cars. That's you, Rick. Hold for cars. Hi. 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 Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a heck of a show for you today. I'm glad we got to move outside. My family invaded the space, and so I had to turn it over to them. And if I hadn't done that, I would have forgotten that there are all these incredible campsites on the Colorado River right outside Moab. They're first come, first serve. You can't reserve them. You roll in to a pay machine. Well, first you roll in to pick a site. You put your hat there. You go to a pay machine. You pay $20. It's yours for the night. My family and I are going to come back here later, and we're going to have a little campfire and watch the sunset. I don't even know what that means. I feel old and tired. We're on a movie set. This is a green screen. Yank. It's incredible, you know, watching light play off of the rocks is one of the most pleasurable things you can do here. And I was doing that today. I went on a run in the rain. It was raining this morning pretty heavily, and you can see the clouds. Wow, the sun is here now. You can see the clouds, you know, that earlier manifested rain, and this evening are going to just create the most beautiful, incredible evening. But because it rained, the rocks were wet. And this is a trick that we do in Hollywood. And a lot of people don't know this, but if this is your first time hearing this, this is going to be cool. The next time you watch a movie, notice that any of the streets and any of the scenes are going to be wet. And the reason is we wet the streets because colors and light reflect off of them more, and it makes the visual imagery more vibrant. And so earlier today I was on a jog, and the rocks, it was raining, and it was overcast and foggy, and suddenly this beam of light came out and lit up one of the canyon walls. And I learned right there. I said, holy shit, if you want to take pictures of this stuff, you wait for the moment right after a rain. Because everything looked like gold. It was sparkling and shining. And if you look through pictures of Moab, Arches National Park, Canyonlands, Saul Mountain Range, Lisselle, the Salt Mountain Range. It's almost too bright now. I wish I had my sunnies, as the Aussies say. You fucking Aussies. You Aussies, come on. Do a little bit of a revolt, would you? Push back on your civil liberties. British, you need to wake up. It's hard to even imagine talking about politics or the real world or anything at all other than being right here when you're in a place like this. I most certainly am not going to bludgeon my beautiful audience over the head with a meat hatchet just because I have a particular political take. I've done that in the past. Listen, you may thank the legality of mushrooms in Colorado for the massive shift in the quality of my content and my new approach to the new reality. I've already said too much. Zooch. I've already said too much. What's interesting with the ebb and flow of the sunlight, or to just sit here and look at all these boulders, just all of them so just on the precipice of falling. And it's almost as if the act of sitting here and waiting for rocks to tumble down in their natural process is like the most pleasurable thing in the universe. And it doesn't happen very often. It might happen every decade. It might happen every week when no one's present. But it feels the same way that it feels to sit in front of an ocean and know that the waves aren't going to stop. There is a kind of security in the knowing that the waves at a beach aren't going to just get turned off. Closing time. There's a deep kind of security in that I think you should explore psychologically. I think the gods are here in the form of nature, and that's why nature is so unforgiving. If you were to walk an African savanna naked, it would be no different than walking the edge of every one of these cliffs naked. Like, I mean the edge, where you don't know if your next footstep's going to be on or off. Mother Nature is exceptionally unforgiving. That is one of the early lessons that has to be taught. I am trying right now, I am actively working to teach this lesson to my son as the most difficult lesson in the universe to teach. There's a reason corporal punishment has existed. What I mean by corporal punishment, when people hit their kids. Obviously, I am absolutely against that. I think it's abhorrent, and everyone knows what that is. That's evil, because they can't defend themselves. And you see this kind of behavior in monkeys. You see this kind of behavior in dolphins. You see this kind of behavior in horses. All animals are cruel, evil, mean. But if you give them the right circumstance, they are beautiful. Yesterday, I got to meet a gigantic, almost elephant-sized camel named Connor. I think it was Connor. And because he was lonely, there was a pig in his enclosure named Turbo, which I thought was awesome also. Now, this was out at Hole in the Rock. Hole in the Rock is an attraction here a couple miles away. I have zero authorization to speak about it. But what I did do was make friends with a bunch of the community there and get some secret information about it out. So when you go to Hole in the Rock, what happens is you take a little tour of the interior of this underground house. Now, I'm going to give you the highlights of this tour. It is exceptional. This dude did his own blasting. He would use a gigantic drill, like a mining drill, to cut a hole into the rock, and then he would pack it full of gunpowder. He would put a steel plate over it. This is according to legend. And then ignite it somehow and have it go boom and just take a big chunk out. He's taking chunks out at a time. Maybe chunks that were that size. He made a cavern. He left all these columns as support beams. I don't know if there was any rhyme or reason to it. God knows why the whole thing didn't collapse or cave in. But it was made out of this rock. And when you go on the tour, which is very reasonably priced, there's a bunch of gift shops. It's a fun stop. It's a cool place. It's quirky. It's weird. But you get the sense that there's something more going on. And there is. I found out that they were actually running a moonshine operation out of there. They were running a brothel out of there, allegedly. These are all allegeds from sources in town here. There's a big brothel being run out of there. So the woman Gladys, who is said to still haunt the place and is buried on the property with her husband, the guy, people who set this place up, they dug this huge cavern into a sandstone cliffside. They turned it into a diner. When people were traveling in the area to come to Arches National Park, they'd stop into the diner. Wouldn't you like some booze? Okay. They had a bootlegging operation. And they also had a brothel there. Gladys, allegedly, was the madam. So the hole in the rock the hole. It's got a great name. Little place you stop off to get what you need. And now it's a tourist trap. And I say that with the most loving connotation possible. I'm not trying to insult anybody. It's a fun place. And we had a great time there, and I recommend you go there. And don't bring this up, and don't give the guides a hard time. But just go there. And I actually brought a couple questions up that were on the fringe. I said, "What are there any ghosts here?" And everyone talks about the ghosts there. And the guide was like, "No, I think Gladys would be happy." Blah, 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 blah. Go visit. It's rad and it's worth it. But know that these people were wild. This woman put in all the electricity after her husband died. It was a house built into the side of a cliff that was basically candlelit. And after her husband died, she dug her own hot tub, like a jacuzzi bath. She wasn't messing around. And she was running a brothel, allegedly. You know, in a merchandise empire. I mean, it's a badass bitch. Anyway, that's what I learned about the hole in the rock. Allegedly. May or may not be true. Oh, divine poesies, goddesses, daughters of Zeus, please sustain for me these songs of the various minded men. For whilst they had plundered the innermost citadels of hallowed Troy, they were still made to stray grievously about the coasts of men, the sport of their custom, good or bad. Whilst their heart, through all their seafaring, ached in agony to bring their men and their company safely home. But it was vain hope for them, for their men and their company they strove in vain. The fools, their own wiltlessness cast them astray. To kill for meat the oxen of the most exalted sun, wherefore the sun god blotted out the sky on the day of their return. Make this tale live for us in all its many bearings, O muses. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Maverick Matthews, and you joined me, pepper for your steak. This is a Last American Road Trip dispatch. What that means is, instead of being in a studio, we are here in the desert today. We are in Mexican Hat, Utah. The gateway to Navajo Nation territory and Monument Valley. My family and I are going to go on an overnight in the valley. And I would love for you to join me, but this is where I actually don't take cameras, not to be and like kind of do a teaser right away. That's not my intention. But what I mean is, I'm not trying to be exclusive. This is a special place. I'm going to give you a little taste. I hope you can hear the crow. I hope the crow comes in. Ah, ah! The crow has become my totem in such a strong way. I am currently wearing a skull. Not my best. Oh, there he is. In miniature around my neck. And carved in it, in the bronze, is a Vegvizir, which is, of course, the Nordic symbol for wayfinding. So they say. But we are here in a different native land. We're here in Dene country. That's what the Navajo call themselves. It basically means the people of the sky and the earth. The people. But I'm not going to draw any conclusions here. I'm not here to tell you anything about these people. Come here and learn about them for yourself. And if you get that opportunity, you'll be super grateful. It's that simple. And that's why I'm going to tease today instead of give it away. I've never done an episode like this, but I think it's going to serve both of us. This is where a lot of culture has been formed for some reason. And I can't tell you why. Thousands of movies have been filmed out here. We are within a quarter mile of where Thelma and Louise drove their car off a cliff. It's right here somewhere. And when I started coming here 25 years ago as a wilderness guide, I was taking European guests and Thai guests and Chinese guests and Australian guests and guests from everywhere in the world. And we would go down and stay at a little ranch on the Colorado River called Betty and Rusty's Cowboy Ranch. And we would do trail rides. And Rusty was in his 70s at the time. And we would do a trail ride that actually went up and around that formation. And then they would go back down the long route, back to their camp on the shores of the Colorado. Trek America, rest in peace, a company that no longer exists, but who made me the man I am today. Not because they kept me in a cubicle, but because they let me run around America. That's one of the reasons I come out here, is because the farther you get away from cities, the more there is this weird feeling that you're on your own. And that if you fuck up, you're done for. Or, even worse, there's predators out here. All kinds of coyotes. You know? All kinds. And it is wild to see how far our society has now gone. It is wild. But it has gone, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not here to interpret that. I'm a wilderness guide. My job is to tell you come to places like this to find yourself again. Get away from the hypnotism of society. It has an agenda. It has an agenda, and you are part of it. My family and I are going to be spending a night in a Native American hogan and enjoying ceremony and dinner with an incredible native people who call themselves Dene. Combination of the sky and the earth people. The people. Navajo is a word that was given to them. I've heard various translations. I've heard that it means horse thief. I've heard that it means relatively benign things. It doesn't matter. It's not the name they give themselves. Could you imagine if we just decided to call the English something different? Oh, you mean those scramblers over there? Yeah, they're just scramblers. I mean, everybody has that, but none of it is official written in history books. Like, what if America still had such a brutal, a poor relationship with England, where we were like, hey, we want to make sure we're still giving them the finger, so instead of calling these people the British or English the whole time, we're going to call them scramblers. That's kind of what's going on here. They call themselves Dene. It's fine. I'm not here to champion anyone. They don't need me to champion them. They're powerful people. And that's why I didn't do any internal recording. I didn't do anything that was super intimate. It's not for me to release. I've spent decades coming here. The last time I came here was 20 years ago, but during a 10-year period, I came here so much that they offered me a sweat into the community, a ceremony. It's kind of like a marriage. You could think of it like a marriage. That's a huge offer, dude. And I was so broke at the time, I didn't have the money to come do it. But it's really cool to come full circle. And after having brought literally hundreds and hundreds of people to the places I'm about to give you a glimpse of, I get to bring my family. And that feels pretty cool. So if you're young and you're trying to figure out what this life is about, you can consider the first half of it practice for, well, it's actually thirds. The first third is practice for the second third. The second third is practice for the third third. And there's 4 stages of knowledge. We're not going to get into that today. We're just going to be into the hat. Let's get back on the road. Let's skedaddle. It's hard to do these even now because you can see other influencers occasionally, and then people start to gather. So if I get a little gathering, I promise to flip the camera around. I did a minute ago, and then I flubbed a line. And then they turned around and walked away. It was like a comic that had bombed the room. That was so funny, man. And I'm happier now that no one's watching. I'm not doing this for people to watch. This is not an invitation to watch me. It's an invitation to come watch them. Maverick Matthews. Last American Road Trip dispatches. Oh, maybe I could do like a Maverick Matthews, Last American Road Trip dispatches. All right. It's like Elvis, Alex Jones. Last American Road Trip dispatches. All right, wild lines. Actually, you know, I've been wrong this whole time. Don't come here. Don't come here, because you're not going to stay on the trail. You're going to trample the cryptobiotic soil. You're going to try to set your kid on a bison for a photograph. You're going to pull across 6 lanes of traffic to get a photo. You're not going to watch your children, and your children are going to go off the trail and step into a geothermic feature where they get boiled alive. Happens every year. I confirmed this with a ranger, by the way. That was Yellowstone. Don't come here. I reversed my whole thesis. I was just kidding. Just kidding. Don't come here. It's not for you. It's not something you can handle. This is advanced. This is advanced territory. It's the kind of place where if you can't handle it, well, they'll eat you. They'll eat you good. They'll eat you good and dead. Don't come here. It's off limits. There's zombies. The government is here. Pepper for your steak. All of a sudden, the traffic. Hey, Shogana. I don't even know what that means. I do know. Okay, the plane, and now with the plane, and the planing, and the flying over the valley, and the hoy. And with the plane, we have to move on. Maverick Matthews, pepper for your steak. Last American Road Trip dispatches.
He took a stiff wallop of the bourbon and said,
Go ahead. Start. I'll take some more of the medicine when my mind starts crumbling.
I'll give it to you raw.
Mama Sutra said quietly.
The Earth has already been invaded from outer space. It is not some threat in the future for writers to play with. It happened a long time ago. 50 million years ago, to be exact.
Danny took another belt of his drink.
The Lloigor,
He said.
That was their generic name for themselves. There were several races of them. Shoggoths and Chochos and Doles and Tikis and Wendigos, for instance. They were not entirely composed of matter as we understand it, and they do not occupy space and time in the concrete way that furniture does. They are not sound waves or radio waves or anything like that either, but think of them that way for a while. It's better than not having any mental picture of them at all. Did you take any physics in high school?
Nothing like relativity.
Danny said, realizing that he was believing all this.
Sound and light.
She asked.
A little.
Then you probably know two elementary experiments. Project a white light through a prism, and a spectrum appears on the screen behind the prism. You've seen that?
Yes.
And the experiment with a glass tube that has a thin layer of colored powder on the bottom. When you send a sound wave through it?
Yeah, and the wave leaves little marks at each of its valleys, and you can see them in the powder.
Cymatics.
The track of the invisible wave in a visible medium.
Very well. Now you can picture, perhaps, how the Lloigor, although not made of matter as we understand it, can manifest themselves in matter, leaving traces that show, let us say, a cross-section of what they really are.
Danny nodded, totally absorbed.
From our point of view,
Mama Sutra went on.
they are intolerably hideous in these manifestations. There is a reason for that. They were the source of the worst terrors experienced by the first humans. Our DNA code still carries an aversion and terror toward them, and this activates a part of our minds which the psychologist Jung called the collective unconscious. That is where all myth and art come from. Everything frightening, loathsome, and terrible in the folklore, in the paintings and statues, in the legends and epics of every people on Earth, contains a partial image of a manifestation of the Lloigor. As a foulness shall ye know them, a great Arab poet wrote.
And they've been at war with us through all of history?
Danny asked unhappily.
Not at all. Are the stockyards at war with the cattle? It's nothing like war at all.
Mama Sutra said simply.
It's just that they own us.